Hello again everyone from Tokyo, Japan, and welcome back to Two Wheels in Tokyo. It's been a little while since I last posted a video here. I've been working on a lot of things. I mentioned in my last video I was working on Brompton, and that's kind of stalled right now due to some frame damage and stuff I didn't expect when I ordered it, so be a little while before I get to that. Today's video, I'm just going to be kind of riding around my neighborhood here in central Tokyo and maybe sharing with you something that some of you might be interested in, and that's what it's like to live in Japan. So I guess the differences living in one particular place depend on what you're comparing them to, where you're coming from. Los Angeles is quite a bit different than New York, and either place is different from Miami. Japan is one of those places which is unique, so pretty much anywhere you come from, Japan is going to be a big change, and Tokyo here is an especially big change. I've been to New York, to Los Angeles, to San Francisco, to Miami, to Chicago, to Portland, and San Francisco, and everywhere in between. I've been to a lot of American cities over the years. Canadian cities, Mexican cities, European cities, and there's really nothing quite like Tokyo, and that's probably why, out of all the places I've been, this is the place which I choose to settle down. And there's a lot of good to be said about living here. The first thing which I like about Tokyo and Japan in general is how well organized everything is. They like everything to work here. The traffic lights work. If you see clocks in the park, they work. The trash pickup works. The infrastructure maintenance on the roads and stuff works. Everything just works here, which is not the same case in some other places around the world. Another thing that I like here is that it's safe. Now, safety is kind of a big deal when you're choosing a place to live, and a place to work and all that, and you can't really think of any place safer to live than Japan, and any of the large cities in Japan are safe. You can go to Osaka, you can go to Tokyo, you can go to Nagoya. Pretty much anywhere you go, you're not going to find any dangerous neighborhoods where you have to worry about being mugged or anything like that. No issues with safety here. Other things which are interesting, as you can see, it's quite clean here. Some places are cleaner than others, but there's no real part of the cities which I can describe as dirty. People here kind of take care of their properties and businesses. The buildings I'm going around here, building on the left is the Aoyama Twin Tower. You probably can't see it so well. You can just see like the Oracle building and Idemitsu and places up ahead, but usually every morning early, you'll see people out cleaning the sidewalks, and some of the buildings have maintenance people who work there, and they come out and do the cleaning and the sweeping. And in places which don't have maintenance people, the staff of the store, restaurant, or whatever it is comes out. When I first started working in Japan, I worked next to a bank building, and every morning the manager of the bank and his tellers and other staff would come out, and they would start cleaning up the walk in front of the bank. And they would pull the weeds and do all the kind of maintenance around there, and they kept their part of the block very clean and organized. And that's what people generally do. The little parks and stuff that you come across in Japan, those are usually cleaned up by people living in the neighborhoods. The cities, wards, government districts or whatever, often they don't really have that much to do when it comes to maintaining parks and things like that. The smaller ones, the people who live around them, they like to have the park looking nice. It makes their own home look nice, so they go out and do it. Now, they certainly aren't paid for it, but they get the respect of their neighbors for helping the community, and of course they get to respect themselves for doing the same thing. Cycling is really popular in Japan. It's been raining all day, so there's not as many bikes out on the streets as we might see at another time. Interesting thing about Tokyo, it's a very, I guess, very cycling oriented city. I can't say it's a cyclist paradise here, but also again it's not like a cyclist's hell. A lot of people in other countries, America and Europe and Canada and Australia and probably lots of others, they're very active in campaigning to build new bike lanes and paths and things like that in order to make it easier for cycling and to, I guess, encourage more people to go out and cycle. Here in Japan, they don't do anything like that. There are very, very few dedicated cycle paths here in Japan. Usually what you're going to see is just markings on the sidewalk, or not on the sidewalk, but on the side of the road with a bicycle on. We'll see some of those eventually as we ride along here. And that's pretty much it. So, and when you consider the number of people who cycle, like Amsterdam is of course famous for its cycling culture, but more people cycle in Tokyo every day than the entire population of Amsterdam combined. And that's despite the fact that Tokyo doesn't really do anything at all to encourage cycling any more than any other form of transportation. But the roads here are safe, and it's not because they are especially wide or well organized or have efficient traffic control systems or anything like that. Basically, it's because the traffic laws here are pretty serious, and they're kind of seriously enforced, or not kind of, they're very seriously enforced. And Japan has this policy when it comes to vehicles, meaning that the larger vehicle is usually considered the more responsible in the event of a collision, and of course a truck will be more responsible than a car if a truck and a car get in a collision. And when it comes to vehicles and pedestrians or cyclists, the motor vehicle is generally considered at fault, even if the actions of the pedestrian or cyclist were what led up to the accident. The motor vehicle is the one who's going to get the blame and the cost. Some of that will be deducted depending on how much the cyclist caused, or how much they contributed to the accident. But since the drivers are going to be considered more responsible, they're going to be more careful. And what the law says here is that even if the accident wasn't your fault, when you are driving a vehicle, you are supposed to expect the unexpected. So just by operating a vehicle on a public roadway, you assume a certain amount of responsibility. And here we don't really have a big issue with unlicensed or unregistered or uninsured vehicles. So people for the most part are very careful here around cyclists, and though I'm lucky enough to be on a rather quiet road right now, even on the busiest of roads, I don't worry much about being hit by a car. They may come close from time to time, but I've done a lot of cycling in big metro areas in America, and Tokyo is nothing compared to those places. They dodge them with the taxis and trucks in Manhattan. That's a completely different world than doing the same thing here in Japan. Cruising around the Olympic Stadium here. Nice night for a ride. It's a little bit cold. It's been raining all day yesterday, all night last night, a little bit today. The roads are a little wet right now, but otherwise it's pretty nice out here. Straight up ahead, that's the skyline for Shinjuku. And I'm passing kind of through the Olympic complex, and to the right is the ice skating facilities where they have the Olympic ice skating. Okay, so here we see the first of our marked bike lane here. Might have gone along them a little earlier in my ride, but That's it. And there's no prohibition against cars driving over them. There's no penalty for parking on a bike path, like you can see this car in front of me. The only thing I worry about in Japan is being doored. That's the one big thing I worry about. People here are kind of careful when they are driving, but they're not so necessarily careful when they open their doors, get out of their car. And that's one thing where I've had some close calls, one situation. I think this is a Sangenjaya area. There's some schools and a college near here, baseball stadium. Oh no, Sendagaya station. I get my Senda, Sanga, whatever kind of mixed up from time to time. Not hard to do here. Can you continue following the bike path? Up here is the Hachiko bus. This is of course in reference to Hachi the dog in Hachiko, which is the little park next to the Shibuya station. This bus will take you around this part of Shibuya for 100 yen, really cheap. Old people love to use it. And when my daughter was little, she loved to ride on the bus. We'd just go ahead and pay 100 yen and cruise around on the bus for a while. Not going any particular where, it just kind of runs in a big circle. You can get on and ride the bus for half an hour and then get back off where you got on. Don't have any particular plan where I'm going right now, just kind of riding aimlessly. Don't expect I'll get lost. It's actually kind of hard to get lost in Tokyo. Skyline here gives you a lot of clues about where you are. Yeah. Pedestrians can be a little aimless here. Yeah, cars have to be careful around me, and I have to be careful around the pedestrians. One of the numerous shrines. Interesting thing about Tokyo is the one-way streets, and a bicycle you can ride either way on a one-way street. You'll usually see the sign under the one-way mark saying bicycles okay. Yeah, Sunday afternoon here, so kind of quiet. Here we are, bicycles okay, one-way street. You see a lot of school kids around. Unlike other countries, school kids in Japan often go to school on the weekends. Many schools are 6 days a week, and some kids during the month they'll have a 7-day week from time to time. I'd have hated that when I was a kid, but yeah. Education is considered valuable in Japan, so yeah, the harder you work when you're young, maybe the less hard you'll have to work when you're older. At least that's the way people here see it. Uh, 30 kilometers per hour. All back to the stadium. Oh, here's a nice bicycle shop already. I didn't know that was there. Technically in Japan you're not supposed to ride bicycles on the sidewalks, but they're not too strict about that, fortunately. I remember it was in 2008 they sent out flyers in Japanese and in English, depending on which neighborhood you lived in, warning you about the new bicycle regulations and that you were required to ride on the streets from that point on, not use the sidewalks. And that rule was largely ignored. Lots of people in Japan, old people and housewives with carrying their kids around, stuff like that, they're a little bit hesitant to ride in the streets, so they tend to ignore that, and the police for the most part don't really clamp down on that particular rule. lot of nice cars in this part of Tokyo. Not far from here is the Lamborghini Cafe and the McLaren dealership. Rolls-Royce and Ferrari and Bentley and Aston Martin, and all the good stuff that I can't afford is very conveniently located nearby to make me envious. Yeah, nice marked bike lane here, but once again, it's completely legal to park on it. And if this were a weekday, there would be trucks on both sides of the road. Like you see on the right side of the road there, the trucks parked on the bike path. It's usually like that everywhere. During certain periods of the day, the trucks sit here and wait for the traffic on the highways to ease up, and then they'll head out to wherever it is they're going. Road construction ahead. I'm surprised that the flag man isn't out here waving. I guess because it's not active, but if there are people working here, there's supposed to be a flag man out here, which is usually someone who's 80-something years old, waving a flag in case you can't see all the lights and signs and everything else. But the law here requires that that a flag man, a living flag man, be out there warning people not to crash into anything. A friend of mine was doing improvement to his home, which required some work on the wall in the front, and he was surprised to find that he had to hire a flag man to sit out there because part of the sidewalk and road was obstructed during the work. This area where I'm at right now is kind of the Aoyama area. Very famous in this area for things like furniture stores and interior decorating and stuff like that. On my left, you can't see it unfortunately, is Swallows Stadium, so a lot of baseball gift shops and things like that around here. Street up ahead I was riding out earlier is Aoyama Dori, or Aoyama Street. And it's 5 o'clock. I can hear the 5 o'clock music playing right now. Now, in this part of Japan, the Minato ward around Roppongi, they play this song every day at 5 o'clock, but it cuts off in the middle. And this is done for some reason where something happened at 5 o'clock, some kind of disaster or something, and cut off the music in the middle. And so since that time, they play the song all the time, cut off at the middle. If you go to any other part of Japan, they play the entire song. It's kind of a interesting thing. The first few months I was here, I was thinking, oh wow, their PA system is broken, it's not playing the whole song. And then it took me a while to figure out that that was intentional. The cars come a little close, but not that close. So if you've ever played the old game Gran Turismo on the PlayStation, this street here is one of the tracks in the game. And some of the things you see, scenery as I'm riding along here, you would see in the game. Some of it, not all of it, because they're constantly building and tearing down here in Tokyo. Buildings on the right there, those are all new, except for the Aoyama Twin building, but these three buildings that I'm passing now were just built over the last couple of years. Since I've come to Japan, Tokyo has had a ridiculous building boom, and the skyline is changing very quickly. the gas station. I have a car which I don't often drive. And when you have kids and they go to school outside the city, you kind of need a car to get by from time to time in case you have to go out and pick them up or for events or things like that. Nice Harley up here. And straight ahead there is the police box. These are in a lot of neighborhoods around Tokyo, and it's where the police assigned to the district keep an eye on things. They're not very busy places. It's usually people go there to ask for directions or turn in lost wallets, stuff like that. I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago I found a wallet laying on the street and I turned it into this police box. Police here are a really different thing than in most other countries. Now, I've had maybe a little bit colorful history with the police over my life in America. Not any real trouble, but just to say that I know what it's like to sit in the back seat of the car. And here, things are a lot different. I've noticed in recent years that people seem to be maybe a little bit more, what I say, a polite way to say it, resistant to police authority in America. And can't comment about that because I haven't been in that kind of situation. I know that the culture in America has changed recently, but here in Japan it hasn't. And some advice to you, especially people coming from America when you come to Japan, is don't get into altercations with the police. It's a bad idea. Some things you have to realize about the police in Japan is they have a lot more power here than American police do. Like a lot of people, when they are pulled over by the police in America, they take out their phone to record the entire conversation or incident. Whereas here in Japan, it's illegal to record the police if they are doing work. And the police here don't wear body cameras. So basically, it's their word against yours. And here in Japan, their word is considered pretty solid. Other things to think about here, they don't require probable cause to detain you in Japan. If the police don't like the way you look or you are looking suspicious or something like that, they can stop you and they can talk to you. And the last thing you want to do to them is say, you don't have the right to stop me, I didn't do anything wrong. And the reality is they have the right to stop you even if you didn't do anything wrong. So keep that in mind if you're visiting. And don't try to record the police at work. It's a major no-no. A friend of mine lives near me. Near his home, they built kind of a small hotel, and there are frequently visitors who come to the hotel from overseas. And he was walking his dog a few months ago, and there were a couple of these hotel guests from America. And they got into an altercation with him and his dog, and I have no idea what it was, but he got quite angry with them, and they took out their cell phone and began recording, and then he called the police. And the police came out, and you can kind of imagine whose side the police take. You know, when a Japanese person calls the Japanese police and there are non-Japanese people involved. And then they found out that these two young men had recorded the incident on their phone, so they demanded to see the phone and to delete the videos. And of course the young men, kind of thinking that they're still somewhere other than Japan, declined to give them the telephone. So the police said, well, you can either give me the phone and let me delete the videos, or I can arrest you now and we'll deport you after 3 to 5 weeks. And so they gave up over the phone, and the videos were deleted, or video was deleted, and luckily they went along their way. But yeah, don't mess with the police when you're in Japan. It's not a good idea. The area we're in right now is Akasaka, and kind of a big office district here in Japan. Also a large government office here. I'm coming down to the area which is called Tamaike Sano, or the Tamaike would be Tama Pond, and then Sano is the area around the Sano Jinja, or a shrine. And in the past, this was the location of a very large pond. So when the Kogyo Imperial Palace was built, actually when it was built, it was Edo Castle. When it was built, they installed some extensive moats around the castle, and on this particular side, the Akasaka side, or Red Slope side, was a large pond, which was kind of a man-made pond. And it was quite famous for its festival every year, and also the mosquitoes, which the pond would breed. And until the pond was filled in, when the city became too populated, it used to have the largest summer festival in Tokyo. A lot of people are kind of sad that all of this urban architecture and structures have taken over and kind of pushed away the old culture here in Akasaka, but it's still a very interesting place. Up here is the QB house on the left. It's usually where I used to get my hair cut here every other week or so. This is the QB house, which usually has the shortest lines, and then Big Camera, which has the best toy store around here. So if you have kids, you want to know where the toy store is. Yeah, it's one of the more interesting areas. A lot of small hotels here where tourists like to come. It's less expensive than some of the more major places, and you can see it's a pretty interesting neighborhood. Lots of good restaurants around here, very famous places. Lots of places which aren't so good either, but bad in Tokyo is usually considered quite good by the standards of most other places. So you can eat pretty much anywhere here. Yeah, when I first came to Japan, I was quite a foodie and enjoyed going to all the different restaurants I could, but now it seems I get most of my food from the 7-Eleven and make it at home. Kind of, I guess that's kind of sad if you live in a city that has more Michelin star restaurants than the entire United States, that you eat all the time at a convenience store. But it's reasonable and it's fast, and I don't have to go very far to get there. We do go out and eat from time to time. We went last night to a good Chinese restaurant in Toranoman. The food here is quite good, and I love the way they pay attention to the detail when it comes to cooking here. Not only does it taste good, but it looks good, and even the texture is good. It's kind of surprising. The food here is very three-dimensional compared to other places. Like, when I was in the army, the food was just, I guess, one-dimensional and monochromatic. It was usually just flat, wet, and brown. And not that it tasted bad. You know, when you're training a lot and you don't get a lot of sleep, pretty much anything tastes good. And a lot of other places have more two-dimensional food. It's colorful and it tastes good. But here, Tokyo adds the third dimension, which is the texture. So last night at the Chinese restaurant, I got fried chicken. I was really surprised at the kind of crispiness on the outside, just the perfect amount. Not a little crispy, not too much crispy, just perfectly crispy. It was very amazing and very delicious. Not very cheap. You know, Toranoman is not known for its inexpensive restaurants or hotels. Yeah, but from time to time, yeah, I take a break from the convenience store and go out and get something real to eat. This area here is kind of an entertainment district in Akasaka. This is the headquarters to one of the TV networks here, kind of a little bit to the center right there, and they record a lot of TV, I don't know, talk shows and dramas and things like that in here. And some good places to eat and drink as well. Of course, there's a McDonald's. Next to McDonald's is an old haunted house, an old Showa era retro house. Showa is the era from, I guess, before 2 eras ago. The one which encompassed Japan from, I don't know, the 20s up until the early 90s or something like that. And things which were made back then are just called like Showa era retro or retro. So these things are popular, old TVs and music equipment and motorcycles. And in the case of that structure there, some of the houses. Interesting thing about the houses, if you go around Japan, you notice that all the structures look different. There's like no consistent style to the architecture here. Like on this street here, no 2 buildings look alike. All of them are completely different. And that's basically because there's no zoning here. Like there's a deli, mailboxes, etc., restaurants, watch repair shop, dental clinic, medical clinic, cleaning shop. And all these things are mixed together. So you can have, say, the post office, a cleaning shop, a police box, a preschool, and an apartment in the same structure. There's no rhyme or reason to the way they do things here. And one of the positive benefits to this is that it keeps the cost of living kind of low when it comes to housing. Housing is not expensive here like it is in other places. Like where in Manhattan can you get your own private apartment with enough room for a sofa and a table, which has its own toilet and sink and shower and cooking facilities for $700 a month. It's pretty much not possible, but it is possible here. And basically it's because you can build anything you want, anywhere you want, with minimal red tape and minimal cost, regardless of the effect that your new building has on your neighbors. So if you had that small 2-story wooden house over there next to McDonald's and they surround it by skyscrapers and pretty much wipe out the value of your home, not fair to you, but it kind of lowers the overall price of real estate around Tokyo and makes it affordable for other people. I don't know which way I want to go. Either way I come out of here, I've got to go up a steep hill. So maybe I'll go behind the park up that steep hill because it's less steep than the other steep hill and I don't want to be too out of breath. I'm riding my all-city space horse bike with its new Shimano GRX 12-speed driveline with a 51-tooth big ring. I'm not in that ring yet. Let me try it. Oh wow. Oh wow, nice and easy. Okay. Tames the hill pretty well. Next to me is the new junior high school they finished building last year. Straight ahead is the Mori Tower, Tri-7 building, and the Midtown Shopping Complex. And I'm entering Hinokicho Park in a moment. A little out of breath from that hill. Up ahead are the apartment buildings, one of which is mine. Nice view. This area at one time where this park is located was the estate of the Matsudaira family. in this part. The Matsudaira family were related to the Tokugawa shoguns, and they owned most of the land in Tokyo. And around here also were the estates of the outside provinces. And they were required to maintain a separate household here in Tokyo, where their families could be kept as hostages, so they wouldn't rise up and get into trouble. And in my neighborhood, on one side of the street was where the province of Gifu, they kept their Tokyo household, and across the street was where the Date family kept theirs, where the Tokyo National Arts Center is now. That used to be the private residence of the Date family, the one-time richest family in northern Japan. Back in the late 80s, there was a popular NHK drama called One-Eyed Warrior, and it was about the life of Date Masamune, the most famous leader of the Date family. And that happened to be his estate, where he lived when he had to come to Tokyo, or where he had to leave his wife and family as hostages. He was rich and powerful enough to cause trouble if he wanted to, but yeah, the Tokugawa system of keeping people hostage seemed to work pretty well. All right, here's another abandoned house. Now, this house was abandoned for a long time. There were people living in it up until about 6 or 7 years ago. There was a light on it every night, and then finally the light went out, and whoever was in there died, and they took them away. And the property was in limbo for 3 or 4 years after that, and they finally found out who inherited it, and so we're kind of in the process of figuring out what to do with it. In Japan, people have very, very powerful property rights, so it's very difficult to do things with abandoned properties and no ownership. It's hard for the state to seize them, to sell them or whatever, and they don't have eminent domain here in Japan like they do in other places. So you see a few places like that, and that used to be a popular dumping spot. Everyone would take all of their old appliances and junk and just dump them all around that house, so they built a big fence around it to stop the dumping. That was when they figured out who it belonged to. Oh, Jack Russell Terriers, pretty cool. Oh, and one Jack Russell and one Beagle. I have a dog myself here, so I kind of know the dogs. Jack Russell's name is Birdie, from the birdie expression in golf, and the other one is Cupie. My dog got in a fight with Cupie last week. Luckily, I hope they don't have any hard feelings after that. We'll find out later on in the week when they meet again. Okay. Okay. Well, it's starting to get a little bit dark here, and if I turn on the light, I don't know what it's going to do with for my video. Let me try, see if it makes things better. Maybe. If you like walking and exploring, there's no shortage of places to walk through and explore in Tokyo. There are countless alleys and back streets and narrow ways, and they lead to unexpected places. Not unexpected bad places, but to little gardens and hidden parks and shops and stores and things you wouldn't expect to see, and often interesting people. If you wander around Tokyo or pretty much anywhere in Japan, you'll usually run into and meet people who may want to try out their junior high school English on you, even though they're in their 70s. And coming over here to Nishi Park, one of the little parks around here. It's a group of potatoes there. What they call them here in Tokyo. The potatoes are imos. Imo is Japanese for potato. These are kind of country people who come to Tokyo, and around here in Roppongi they work in the clubs and stuff like that. They dress sharp and they look sharp, but they don't have any education or anything, and they're just kind of here trying to find their way. And in the districts here with the nightclubs, the turnover rate is kind of high, so there's always work to be found, and a lot of the clubs here are adult oriented. Hidden in the middle of all these buildings is a Buddhist temple somewhere over on the left. Can't really see it from anywhere except through a narrow gate. We have a famous place here, and it's considered a lucky temple. The spirit is a dragon which comes out and flies between the different temples in the area. And if you're lucky enough to live under the flight path of the dragon, and I've never seen it, but if that's the case, then you're going to have good luck in business and love and everything else. And my luck hasn't been bad, so maybe the story's true. Following along Roppongi Street on the sidewalk. I think I got time to get across the street. Let me go ahead and try before the light turns red. Whew. Get on the right side of the street and get off the sidewalk. Oh, Shake Shack. I'm getting hungry. But I think I'll go to 7-Eleven. Yeah, this is one of the, Roppongi is considered, despite kind of the seedy areas which I've passed by, it's considered probably the poshest district in Japan. The rich and famous all live around here. I mentioned exotic cars earlier. There's lots and lots of those around, lots of dealers. And see, I don't want to go through the hotel, so I'll go straight. Now you see more German cars in this area than Japanese cars in some cases. Mercedes, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus. Oh, that's an outlier. That car doesn't belong. That's Japanese. And cruising through here by the Grand Hyatt Hotel. Up here is a liquor store on the left past the drugstore. The liquor store is interesting because every day they put their display cases outside the store with beer and wine and stuff like that. And this being Japan, no one steals it. Now, if you put a few racks of wine and beer outside of a liquor store in most big American cities, you probably wouldn't have to count to 20 before someone came and took it all and ran away. But here, since the police are pretty tough and they have lots of power and they can lock you up forever without even charging you with anything, you're better off not doing it. Literally, if you steal a bag of chips or a bottle of water in Japan, you can look forward to, I don't know, 3 to 5 weeks in jail. Depends on your age and a few other things, but you must go to jail. They're not going to let you go home if they catch you shoplifting. And they don't do bail here. So if you get arrested in Japan for any crime serious enough that they arrest you for, you pretty much stay in jail until they either decide not to charge you or until you serve your time, or until you're exonerated in court. And if the police are willing to be a pain in the butt, and they are usually not, to be fair, you're going to stay in jail for the entirety. So despite the police here having pretty much unlimited authority, it's very, very rare that they actually exercise it. It's kind of one of those odd, what's the word they call it? You know, I used to speak English pretty well, but I think I'm forgetting it. But anyway, where, you know, the reality is opposite to what you expect. in a place where the police don't have much power, and it's fairly hard to get arrested and put in jail. You have more people getting arrested and going to jail. And in places like here in Tokyo, where it's extremely easy to get arrested and be put in jail for pretty much no reason, it almost never happens. It's kind of weird, isn't it? So yeah, if you're arrested in America, you know, most of the time they're just, you know, they probably won't even put you in the police car. They'll give you a citation and like you have to promise to appear in court. And then if it's something more serious, they may actually take you and book you into the jail and then book you out shortly after. If it's more serious than that, you can bail out and then you show up for your court date when that happens. And the crime you have to commit to actually end up getting put in jail and held is quite serious in America. Whereas here in Japan, if you steal the bottle of water from a store and they press charges, you're going to jail and you're not going to get bailed out. But because of that, no one here will steal the bottle of water. Now, this is one of the nastiest streets in Roppongi. Very rundown and old and ugly. And the buildings are slowly shutting down here. They're not abandoned. What they're doing is they are planning in the future to build something really hideous here. A new shopping and skyscraper complex. And so over time, as the businesses close, the buildings just become empty. And when the last one leaves and the last building is, you know, they seal the last deal and they have all the land, then they start building. Another hill here. The ladies of the night, there are lots of them here. From what I understand, if you go to Shibuya at night, you'll see lots of young ladies and people who look like young ladies but may not be. They said that maybe 60% of them are prostitutes. But that's just what I've heard. We'll leave it at that. Roppongi Crossing. Yeah, Roppongi is a crazy place. Sunday night, it's not that busy here. Last night it was a madhouse despite the rain. Friday night it was atomic madhouse. And the mornings are the most interesting part. Saturday and Sunday mornings here, if you're out walking around or walking your dog, you kind of see what's left over from the night of fun. Got to watch your steps so you don't step in the vomit. Don't step on people who are passed out. Lots of those. Trains stop running here at night and subways. And after a certain hour, the taxis here don't like to pick up people. They don't like to pick up drunks who throw up or can't tell you how to get their home. And so these people end up sleeping behind vending machines and stuff like that till the next morning. And some of them are still so drunk at that time, they're pretty well history. Yeah, make sure to keep track of your ID when you come to Tokyo. You should have your passport with you at all times. If you decide to leave the hotel to go to a restaurant and the police decide to stop you, if you don't have if you don't have a residence card or your passport on you, you're likely to end up getting detained until someone can bring it to you. This has happened to tourists here. They have to call their hotel and the hotel has to send someone into the room to get the passport out of the drawer safe and then come to the police box to get you out. If you're a resident and you forget your resident card or wallet, you go to the gym or something and don't bring your wallet, and then the police get you on the way home. You'll have to have your wife or friend or worker, co-workers or boss or whoever it is go get your wallet and bring it to the police box to let you out. So yeah, keep that in mind. Yeah, don't do that. Busy shop on the right is the new Iruka ramen place. Iruka means porpoise or whale, small whale. I'm not sure if that's in the ramen or not, but since eating whale is completely legal in Japan, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Getting a little windy over here. Probably because I'm coming up to the big Midtown building. It's what they call birukaze, or building wind. I don't know if you can hear it in the microphone or not. Hopefully this microphone is more quiet. Around Tokyo Midtown, this is my neighborhood here. Oh, old BMW M3, really nice. And take a cruise through the Ritz-Carlton driveway here. My daughter says the restaurant here has the best bolognese pasta in the world. I tried it, it's really good. Back to the Hinokicho Park. Hinoki is a kind of tree, a cedar tree, and Cho means town, so Cedar Tree Town is the name of the park, Cedar Tree Town Park. It's still lit up for what they call the holiday illumination, what they had here for Christmas. Very busy here during the Christmas season. They don't celebrate Christmas here like they do in other places. Here it's kind of a couple's holiday, romantic nights in the winter time where you go out on strolls and dates and things like that. Though recently it's becoming more of the Western commercialized kind of Christmas with trees and Santa Claus and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and all of that. The Tri-7 building. Oh, and on my left is the Oakwood. It's where the famous singer from SMAP got really drunk one night and took off all of his clothes and went running around screaming through Hinokicho Park, and was arrested by the police. Fortunately, the police station is right here, right next to his hotel, so it didn't take them long to catch him. And this was the biggest scandal of the year, with the exception of a Japanese singer who got arrested for having marijuana residue found in an ashtray in her home. She got a year in prison for that, by the way. But yeah, the guy who is the singer, I forget his name. I'm not really good with names, especially Japanese names, which is a shame. But anyway, he had to publicly apologize on TV, and it was kind of a live event, which was on every station, and then his management company came out. But since he apologized in a very heartfelt and sincere manner, everything was forgiven, and he was back performing in concerts and TVs and movies right away. So that's one big thing to remember if you come into Japan and you do get in trouble here, is that an apology will go a long way to getting you out of trouble. The best thing to do is be sincerely apologize if you do something wrong. And you know, if you accidentally put something in your bag and take it out of the store, it's quite possible you might be able to explain it away if it was really unintentional, and you apologize like crazy for it, they may let you go. If you cause some other kind of trouble, you step on someone's foot or something like that, or knock someone down, that can happen to lots of old people around here. Just apologize very well. Yeah, people in Japan aren't really into it. They're not very litigious. They don't sue here. You don't see any lawyer commercials on TV or see the billboards along the highways here. No lawyer in Japan wants to handle lawsuits. It's considered distasteful, and you're considered kind of a low-class person for doing that kind of work, so no one wants to do it. So people here, problems, social ills in Japan are usually handled civilly, you know, through conversations, and if they're more serious than that, then it's the criminal justice system, which no one wants to get involved with. So basically people here just try to get along, apologize when they make a mistake, and hopefully everyone goes home happy. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit tired of riding, and I'm gonna go to the 7-Eleven and get some dinner. So hope you found the video not too boring. Got to see a little bit of Tokyo in the afternoon and the evening. And if you want to see more, please come back and check us out. Thanks very much.